The other thing that I want to talk about in regards to our body mechanics and lifting is about getting in and out of the car. This is another way that we really have to be mindful of what we're doing. And so one of the things that you can think about is as you're loading the kids to maybe go outside, go to the park, something like that, instead of taking everything on your backpack or in your diaper bag and trying to bend and twist and get into the car at the same time, what you want to do is take those heavy bags with your snacks and your drinks and stuff, put it in your trunk or put it in the passenger side first. Then go ahead and get yourself in the front seat. You don't want to be trying to bend and twist getting into the front seat with all of this stuff on your back at the same time, because that's a great way to hurt your back. So again, what you want to do, just take those couple extra seconds, plan ahead, put your bag into the car first, then get yourself into the car. And what you want to do when you go to get into the car is just sit to the side of the car, sit down in your seat, and then again, keeping the shoulders over hips, you're going to turn your body together to get into the car. Same thing when you go to get out, keeping your shoulders and hips together, turn to the side, and then get out of the car seat. You're not wanting to do this kind of bend and rotation movement as you can see in the video. That is again something that we want to avoid with getting in and out of the car, and especially if we're carrying anything with us. Repetitive use injuries. This is a big one for not only using devices all the time, but also in the daily task in being a caregiver for our little ones. So repetitive use injury is basically what it says. It's anything that we're doing over and over again. And this doesn't even have to be something that is lifting a weight that tends to cause more injury. It just happens to do with the repetitive use over and over and over again of doing an activity. So a good way to think of this is just like a rubber band. A rubber band can be stretched back and forth a certain number of times, but at some point it's going to start to fray and break down. And so that's what happens with some of the tendons in our body when over time they just start getting used too much and they need a break. As you can see from this image, repetitive use injuries can happen almost anywhere in the body where you have that muscle tendon connection. And so this comes, as we see a lot more days with technology, in the hands with us using computers, iPads, tablets, and cell phones. So what we want to do is try to think about how can we decrease this repetitive use throughout the day now if we're at home doing more of these different activities. So different things we can think about is how can we use maybe the dictation feature on our phones and tablets versus typing. This is a great way to limit a lot of that repetitiveness in using in our hands. If we're holding a remote control, can we put it down and push the buttons, or again use the voice activation instead of constantly holding on to the remote in our hands while we're flipping through the channels. Other things to think about is when you're driving and you're holding on to the steering wheel. Holding on to the top of the steering wheel and gripping it, maybe can you loosen your hand grip a little bit and put your hands down in more of a 5 and 7 position where your hands are a little bit more relaxed and open, so you're not having to have that constant clenching and use of the muscles when you're holding the steering wheel. Here is an image to give you a better idea of a more comfortable and appropriate position to hold the steering wheel and have your arm positioned while driving. So that's a couple different ways of how you can think about your daily activities and routines. How can you use your hands a little bit less or use them in a little bit different manner to decrease that constant repetitive use of using the hands? Last thing I want to talk about today is self-care. There's so much talk about it today with everything that we have going on, but it really is important for us as parents and caregivers to make sure that in these times of stress and a lot of things going on that we are doing the best that we can to not only take care of others, but also take care of ourselves, because they are dependent on us to be able to take care of them as well. So it is important that we do carve out a little bit of time to remember that we're mindful about what we need to do to take care of our bodies as well. That's all for today. Thanks so much for watching the Need to Know in 5. See you next time.